know Caesar is in somewhere, and that place is called part A. But Paul is coming from Jerusalem. So Paul is coming from Jerusalem. They're being put on a boat or a ship or small yacht, whatever. Then they are going to see Caesar. In those scriptures, they say they took off against the wind when they were going to see Caesar. They took off against the wind. So if you look at the current map, and I know some people may not be good at geography, but the winds in Southern Africa, you have the winds that are coming from the Indian Ocean on your right, according to the screen, which has a red line, and then going up on the western side with a blue line. So those are two different winds. So the winds will help you. In back then, they never had steam engines, so it's not like you could really, push your luck. You'd find yourself in Greenland. So they would really use the winds to their favor in order for them to navigate easily or not to be pushed away from land, because then you'd also have issues of food rations and things of the likes. So they were coming from Jerusalem. So if they are coming from Jerusalem and going against the wind, you need to look at the winds, because the winds will tell you it's not something that you can fake. The winds don't change they don't wake up and today they become the different winds and things like that, because they're based on currents and things like that and other forces. So the winds they were going against the wind. Currently, if you look at the current state they call Israel up there, where is the wind that they are going against? Where is the wind they are going against? So it doesn't make sense. And then two, when they get on this boat, when they are going against the wind, they crash. And before they crash, they're in a place where the two seas meet. Now, the two seas meet in very unique places. So you have somewhere I think in Alaska, you have where the two seas meet. You have Southern Africa, then you have the Strait of Gibraltar, which is there where he's pointing the arrow towards. So if that is where the two seas meet, you need to do the math. First, is there wind that is going against that? And then two, they're coming from Jerusalem. So where they coming from Jerusalem, is Jerusalem making sense? Is Jerusalem, and then them they get on a boat, are they going against any wind? If they're not going against any wind, then it means that's not a location. Two, three, then the two seas meet where? Why would they be where the current location is? Why would they go all the way to the west, then come back again in the middle to where the Rome is? Does it make any sense? It doesn't make any sense why they would go all the way from Jerusalem there to the Strait of Gibraltar, where the two seas meet, in order again for them to come back, right, be shipwrecked, and then now they land in Rome. I mean, that kind of trip, I don't know, unless these guys are like, they're sightseeing or something. It's like the way Elijah was asking, maybe their God has gone on a trip, you know? So it doesn't make sense. But now when you look at Southern Africa and you look keenly within the context of where Jerusalem is, and you just look at, forget even a lot of details. You look at the wind first. They were going against the wind. So they are coming from somewhere along the coast on the left side where there's a blue line, going downwards. Otherwise, they would be flowing with the wind. But the scripture says they were going against the wind. So they were coming down, and then they come to where the two seas meet, somewhere down there. And then the leader of that boat, who is called Constantine, again, which we have seen in the previous map, when they were shipwrecked, he takes in charge of the prisoners and things. And Paul was one of the prisoners who was supposed to go see Caesar. So you do the math and do your research. Does it make sense? Two, if they were saying that they were going against the wind, the other option would be you're coming from Southern Africa on the eastern side of the Indian Ocean, going all the way up, then you get to Middle East there, then you get to that Suez Canal, then you pass through a Suez Canal, then go all the way to Strait of Gibraltar, then come back to Rome. That trip is too long, man. It doesn't make sense. And then two, the winds on the eastern side on the Indian Ocean, are not as brutal or as not as tough as the Atlantic. The Atlantic is very harsh and very cold. And there's a lot of rocks and things like that that people shipwreck a lot on the Atlantic. So the math has to math. The winds must wind. The winds must wind. They can't not. You cannot have no winds. So there's someone who's lying.
Absolutely.
I
And in
get it.
fact, Nick, thank you so much. Very good explanation. You know, you talked about the Suez Canal. It wasn't there the time of Paul. Suez Canal was constructed in the 1800s, I think 1859.
Yep.
So
Yes.
it was out of question. They would not go this way and go through there to go through Europe. And the Suez Canal just connects between Egypt to modern day Israel. So that wouldn't take them over to the Mediterranean. It ain't happening, ain't flying.